We're an island nation, drawn to the sea that surrounds us. A playground for some. For others, it's where they make their living. But the sea's unpredictable.
It's like a wild animal. You can't tame it.
There to save our lives is a volunteer army of over 5,000 ordinary people, ready to leave their jobs, their families, and race to our rescue.
When the pages go off, we have to prepare for absolutely anything.
Go, go, go!
You do go out fearing the worst.
Once I could see the orange, I knew we were okay.
We're with you, we're with you!
Equipped with their own cameras.
Good afternoon. Stay where you are, yeah? We're going to come to you!
The crews give us a unique insight into every call-out.
I thought I was going to die!
As only they see it.
I've got you, I've got you.
For those who risk their lives, it has become a way of life.
Saving someone's life is phenomenal.
Back, let go!
There is nothing more rewarding.
Hold on!
Nestled on the northwest coast of Ireland, in County Donegal, is the bustling seaside town of Bondoran.
If you've never been to Bondoran, it's a water sports haven. If you are into doing anything in the sea, Bondoran is the place to do it.
Bondoran would be known for its tourism and for its surfing, particularly big wave surfing, which is not for the faint-hearted, I'm sure.
The town faces directly onto Maine Beach. Locals are all too aware that it has a treacherous coastal phenomenon just offshore. Rip currents.
A rip is a fast-moving current of water that moves out to sea in the opposite direction from the sand. It's so strong, you're a passenger once you're in it. They can form on any beach that has surf or any beach maybe that has a river emptying onto it.
Bondoran's lifeboat station lies just half a mile down the coast from Maine Beach.
So the original lifeboat station was started in 1976 after a man drowned on Tullen Strand.
A guy called Danny Kerrigan from Ballyshannon was washed off the rocks when he was fishing. He didn't drown immediately. He swam around and tried to save himself as best he could, but unfortunately it took them too long to organise a boat to go and get him, and sadly by the time they'd done that he had drowned.
That night my father and a load of the local people got together and formed a community lifeboat, and fast forward nearly 18 years later in 1994 the RNLI were invited in to help the community and to form an RNLI lifeboat.
October. A cold afternoon with a fresh breeze. Bondoran Lifeboat Station receives an emergency call from the Coast Guard.
I had a quick glance at Laura and we both said see you later. It's never goodbye, it's always see you later. And I ran out the door.
A teenage girl is reported to be caught in a rip current off Maine Beach.
That is, in my view, one of our most serious call-outs, because you have a person in the water, they don't know how a rip works because they're stuck in it. That means they have limited experience, and that means you are really against the clock.
Bondoran's Atlantic-class lifeboat is placed on immediate launch.
Someone in the water every second absolutely counts. I've been on both sides of the coin.
The sea temperature off Bondoran in October averages just 13 degrees. If the girl doesn't have a wetsuit on, hypothermia could start to take hold within 10 minutes.
Your actions and how quickly you can get to them is the difference between life and death.
Yeah, engine's pulling. Here, later up.
The girl is caught in a rip current at the far end of the beach. These types of current can move at over 3 feet a second. In a matter of minutes, she could be dragged hundreds of feet offshore. "7 minutes after being paged, The crew approach the rip current, but they struggle to see anyone in the water.
Trying to find a casualty in any swell or any sort of chop, wind chop or anything, it's extremely difficult. You've got one chance to spot them, so you really have to be watching very intently.
So as we were approaching the beach, we were aware that there was quite a lot of people on the shore, pointing and waving toward the casualty position.
The girl is now 50 meters out to sea and being dragged further out. As they draw closer, the crew realize she's been joined by an older male.
Someone had obviously come in to help and, you know, change the dynamic slightly.
Yeah, through your hand. Contact. You're okay. Right, set your shots there, man. You're right, all right. And pull this off your arm here, okay? Okay. Just hold tight there.
When I initially seen the younger girl, she was really frightened. I felt very sorry for her, and it is a very frightening thing.
You're okay, yeah?
The older man was very, I would want to say, water confident. Ken knew what he was doing, kept things calm.
1, 2, 3. 1, 3. 1, 2, 3. That's it, good man. All right, take her easy. Right.
Getting the casualties into the boat, your mind now focuses to looking after them, to casualty care.
Any water intake? Just confirm that.
As the two casualties are on board, the crew set about getting them warmed up.
It was a windy, cold day, so I kind of concentrated on him, and Richard concentrated on the younger girl behind me. You're reassuring them. I always say use your voice. Your voice is one of the best things you can use to help people and to focus them and to reassure them. You're always conscious of them going into shock. If they're talking to you and they're engaged, they're probably not going into shock.
With the casualties safely wrapped up in blankets, the Bondoran crew can return to station.
When I got on the lifeboat, I don't remember much of it. I was just staring into space.
I did give a foil blanket there.
I was just tired and cold and just confused what happened because it happened so fast, so I haven't processed it yet.
13-year-old Rebecca had been swimming off Maine Beach with her two sisters.
I just really wanted to go swimming with my sisters and just like jump in the waves.
Their father Jonathan was watching from the shore.
It could be minus 20 degrees. My daughters will still want to walk in the beach up as far as waist high. We'll just get in. We won't get our hair wet, was what we were told. Everything just seemed so perfect. My wife wasn't with me at the time, so I said, I'll take a wee video and I'll send it up to her. I panned around right to the back of me here, and literally in the split second that it took me to put my phone back in my pocket, when I looked back up again, Rebecca, who would have been about no more than 5-6 feet away from me, she was easily about 30 feet away from me, and going further every second, just being dragged out to sea. I remember trying to scream for help, and I couldn't get the words out. I got out, I stripped, I ran in, I swam, but regardless of how fast and how hard I pushed myself, I'd be hit by a wave, I'd come back up, but when I'd come back up, she'd be further and further and further away. I thought she was gone. As I got further out, I could just see this kind of figure getting towards Rebecca. This guy obviously knows what he's doing. He has a life buoy, he's not far from her now.
Exhausted, Jonathan returned to the beach.
There's certainly somebody stronger than me there who's managed to get to her.
70-year-old Peter grew up in Bondoran and knows these waters well.
I went down to Bondoran Beach because I felt that if I was brave enough, I wanted to get into those surf waves and have them clean out all the old cobwebs that had gathered around me. I became aware when I looked around that there was some sort of a danger taking place, that somebody had been caught in the current and was being pulled out.
Watching events unfold from the shore, Peter went in to help.
When I got to the edge of the water, a man approached me and he handed me a life buoy. I was just determined to get to the person And no matter how far that person was out, I was going out to get them.
But with every passing second, Becca was being swept further out into the cold waters of the Atlantic.
I felt very scared and isolated. My main focus was just to keep myself up, not to swallow any water. I looked towards where everyone was and I saw a man coming out. When the man came to me, I felt a bit more safe, secure, and that nothing was going to happen now.
I said something like, "Stay calm, everything's going to be okay."
However, it wasn't long before Peter also found himself in trouble.
Foolishly enough, I forgot what I used to know, that there was a current, and I was now swimming against it. I was tiring. I have to say, I was tiring.
The man seemed very scared, but he was so brave.
Well, it did cross my mind that, you know, this could be it. Things could get bad and things could get worse. With great relief, I was ploughing away into the water when all of a sudden this loud craft came zooming around with its powerful engine at the back.
Once I saw the lifeboat, once you see that orange, you know you're okay. An enormous sense of relief.
1, 2, 3. That's it, good man. All right.
It wasn't until they hauled me into the craft that I realised that I'm a fairly skinny fellow, that I was getting cold quickly. So they were giving me silver blankets and things to keep me warm, but I started to shudder.
I was just sitting there and they were reassuring me, telling me that everything's going to be okay. I started to get really, really upset and started crying because I didn't know it was that bad.
11 minutes after launching, the Bondoran crew bring Rebecca and Peter back to the safety of the shore.
When we got back to the station, there was an amazing sense of relief.
Moments after they docked, Dad Jonathan made it to the lifeboat station too.
I seen him get out of his car and walk towards the back of the boat when we were getting the girl off, and I think you can almost see the consequences of what could have happened rode across his face.
When the gentleman that actually saved Rebecca, he actually came off the lifeboat first. I remember just going over, hugging him and just saying, "Listen, thank you so much. You don't know what you've done for me. You've brought my baby back."
If that man hadn't got the life ring to her, her chances of survival would have diminished exponentially over time. And I think we were 7 minutes launching that day. 7 minutes is an eternity if you were in difficulty in the sea.
I was lucky to be in a position where I could be of some assistance, and I rendered that assistance, and I'm delighted.
Peter did save my life that day, and I'm so happy that he was there. And it makes me so happy that someone would do something like that.
Whatever time of day or night they launch, the lifeboat crews all around the UK and Ireland must quickly get rescue ready under extraordinary pressure.
From the moment the pager goes off, you do get a wave of adrenaline. It's not anything you can really describe.
You know you're on your way to go and help somebody, so there's a time pressure, you want to get there as quickly as you can. And then you've got to think when you actually get there how you're going to deal with the situation.
It's quite a responsibility to make sure that everything goes as smoothly as it can.
Okay, okay, heeling back.
There's always stress. There's a stress of what you're going to attend and how you're going to deal with it and what you're actually going to find.
Okay, go, go, go!
Everyone's got each other's back, so you get back to the station, have a cup of tea and just talk through everything, let out all your stresses.
The old fishing town of Portishead lies on the Severn estuary in North Somerset.
Portishead is really the closest seaside town to Bristol, so you get lots of people who work in Bristol who live in Portishead.
It's a lovely place to grow up. Yeah, it's just a nice place to live.
There was an independent lifeboat here for over 20 years, but in 2015, the RNLI established the current station.
The coast surrounding Portishead is a mixture of mud banks, kind of 30-foot cliffs.
We don't have beaches, we have some mud, quite a lot.
You have a coast path which runs between Portishead and Clevedon, and people do get in trouble there. You know, they fall over, they slip, they fall off cliffs, so it can be quite dangerous.
April. A calm, cool afternoon. An emergency call has come in to Portishead Lifeboat Station.
When the pager went off, it was a bit of a shock. It's unusual to get a shout on a Monday afternoon. So in my head, I was thinking this actually might be really serious. I made best speed to the lifeboat station and was told straight away by Dave, the helm, get change, someone's fallen from the cliff.
A 64-year-old man is lying injured with his dog at the bottom of a coastal path 4 miles southwest of Portishead.
My immediate concerns were that, you know, we had someone that had fallen. I'm familiar with that bit of coast, and I know that there are a few significant drops there. Someone could have been in a situation where they've got life-threatening injuries.
Within 15 minutes of the pagers going off, the Portishead crew are on the water. En route, they receive an update from the Coast Guard.
When the Coast Guard radioed us to say that somebody had fallen from 30 feet, 30 feet is a considerable height to fall from. You're thinking head injury, neck injury, back injury. The worst case scenario for us would be that this would be a body recovery.
An added danger is the tide. The waters in the estuary can rise and fall by over 10 metres in a matter of hours.
The tide was on the flood, and we had approximately an hour left until high water.
If someone had fallen down and they were on the waterline, you know, they could very quickly you know, be affected by a rising tide. So time is really of the essence here.
With calm sea conditions and light winds, Helm Dave is able to reach the casualty's reported position in just under 10 minutes. Now they need to scan the shoreline to locate him.
The coastline's quite sort of rugged. I had to make sure that we didn't miss a casualty who could have been behind some different rocks and boulders and what have you. As we came round a bit of a headland, we could see a couple of people on the shoreline.
Coast Guard Rescue Helicopter 187 has also been scrambled from St Athan in South Wales. The helicopter crew have sighted the casualty in a small rocky cove near Walton Bay. On arrival, the lifeboat crew are relieved to find that the cliff faller has landed above the tide line and that someone is with him.
When we got on scene, there was a member of the public stood next to a casualty who was lying on the rocks.
The bystander was waving at us, pinpointing the location of the casualty to us.
We're going to come in here, mate, all right?
We edged the boat in steadily, you know, towards the rocks, and then when we were right up on the rocks, they both jumped in and made their way ashore.
Right, fallen from up there, right, down onto here. Okay. His wound stopped. Right. But he's complaining. He's okay. Right, okay.
While the casualty may no longer be bleeding, the distance he's fallen means he could still have life-threatening injuries.
The casualty was in a significant amount of pain, complaining about pain in their side, struggling to breathe. You know, it was all of the warning signs, really, that he'd done some internal damage.
You guys coming now? Passes the oxygen.
The bystander was a great help. So we only put myself and Jake on shore, and the bystander was able to kind of pass his equipment. He was able to keep the casualty calm. He also looked after the casualty's dog.
I was quite shocked that I didn't panic, and also it felt good to be helping someone else.
Matt, a landscape gardener, had been working nearby.
I'd just finished lunch when I heard screams coming up the garden from a lady shouting, "My husband's at the bottom of the cliff."
Undeterred by the loose cliff, Matt scrambled down 30 feet to the casualty.
My first thoughts were I didn't think anyone would be surviving at the bottom. I could see blood starting to come out of a wound from his head. He looked as though he was going into shock.
With the lifeboat crew now having completed their assessment of the casualty's injuries, the Coast Guard winch paramedic descends from the helicopter.
The winchman's qualified paramedic, and they've got much better kit than we carry. So the helicopter winchman took control of that situation, and we very much assisted them.
Yeah. Do you want to come in behind? Yep. You just hold the head still.
Yep.
The helicopter winchman is soon joined by another paramedic from the Southwest Ambulance Service.
Yeah, the only thing is right nipple seems lower than his left.
The paramedic highlighted very quickly that the one nipple was slightly lower than the other. Then we started thinking, well, what might be causing that? And then we're thinking, well, actually, has he got a punctured lung?
If a punctured lung is left untreated, air can gather in the chest cavity, which can be life-threatening.
It definitely raises the stakes because internal injuries can do a lot of damage really quickly, and there's nothing that we can do on the shoreline for that casualty.
I'll get the stretcher taken down there, yeah, and then bring it up to me. Is that right?
The decision is made to transfer the casualty by helicopter to a local trauma unit.
Getting the casualty in the stretcher can be quite an ordeal. It's the first time they're potentially moving from the position that they've been in.
Where's that pain? Where's that pain? In your chest. Okay, same place, same side.
One slip, one drop of an arm, and the casualty could end up back on the rocks, and we could do more damage than good.
With the casualty securely strapped in, the rescue helicopter is called back into shore.
Keep your visor down, mate.
Working with the helicopter is incredibly loud, so trying to communicate to the casualty and also to your colleagues can be quite difficult.
I'll hold on to this.
For an innocent bystander, it just looked like a scene out of a movie.
Over an hour and a half after his fall, the casualty is winched up into the relative safety of the Coast Guard helicopter.
There's a real sense of relief when you see a casualty heading up into the helicopter because you know that pretty soon they're going to be in hospital where they need to be. You know, so we're very thankful when helicopters are there. They do a great job.
I remember looking out across the bay as we were swinging on the winch. I never felt any fear because I knew the team on the ground had done their best and that these guys were doing their best. That's more than you can ask for.
Graham and his wife Bev had come to this stretch of coast for a stay in a holiday cottage at the top of the cliffs.
When we first arrived at the house, we had our dog Meg with us, and she'd been in the car for about 2.5 hours. And at 15.5, we thought we'd better take her for a quick walk.
As we were walking along the coast path, Meg was off the lead, and it was almost like a click of a switch. She saw the sea and just went for it, and she fell down at the cliff. I said to Bev, look, I'll try and find a way down, and you stay here, don't come with me. And as I started to move to look down the edge to climb down, part of the cliff came away in my hand. To be honest with you, that's the last thing I remember.
I genuinely felt he was dying, and I felt I had minutes to help him.
Bev called 999, but struggled to get any mobile signal.
I ran back along the coast path, was shouting for help, just shouting, help me, help me.
You know, when you're on your own and it's quiet, and okay, I've got the dog, but you still wonder, am I going to get out of this? My right side of my body was very, very painful to breathe. The adrenaline in my body was saying, keep going, you can get through this. I needed, for her sake, to keep alive and you know, keep going. That's what kept me going. I wasn't ready to go just yet.
By chance, Matt heard Bev's cries for help.
He risked himself coming down that cliff. I know, I fell down it, so I know what he came down. And to do that for someone is extraordinary. I said, look, sorry, Matt, I can't talk very well. And he said, no worry, you know, I'll just talk at you and keep you, you know, tell you what's happening and communicate what's going on. And yeah, he was a lifesaver.
Within 10 minutes, the Portishead crew were on scene.
It was amazing to see them literally zooming to the rescue, and it lifted my spirit a bit to think that, you know, help was on its way.
Right. As they were talking to me, you start to become aware of physically how much pain you're in. And the pain was very intense.
Graham was rushed the 10 miles to Southmead Hospital in Bristol.
I was in ICU for 4 days. Looking back on it, I am so lucky to be alive. And I am so grateful to the team that saved me. Things can change on a sixpence. You can be walking along and everything is normal, you're chatting, and the next minute, bang, something happens and your whole world changes.
Cheers, guys. Cheers, Matt.
I think the kindness of strangers is definitely key to our experience. Just so grateful Graham is here, although he's still in recovery, that he will recover, that, you know, at least we're here to tell the story, really.
I'm not very religious, but I feel blessed.
Having handed Meg the dog over to the Coast Guard rescue team, the Portishead lifeboat crew headed back up the estuary.
This definitely could have been much, much worse. I think that the casualty was fortunate they landed on relatively flat rocks. You know, had they landed on jagged rocks, it could have been a very different outcome.
While this was a multi-agency rescue, the lifeboat crew all recognised the role that bystander Matt played in saving Graham's life.
Ultimately, everybody has a choice to make when they see a situation unfold like this. You can either help or not help. And I guess we're really thankful that Matt, the bystander, decided to help.
It felt completely natural to go down and help someone who was in trouble. And I think that I would be able to help again if I was put into that situation.
Nearly 40 miles due west, in South Wales, is the small coastal community of Porthcawl.
The Porthcawl coastline is quite varied.
We go from tall cliffs to lovely sandy beaches to really low-lying, sharp rocks. We've got it all.
There's been a lifeboat here for over 160 years. When the station was established, the crew would primarily have been made up of local townsfolk. But one of the current crew members, Etienne, hails from slightly further afield.
You go in for a bit and I'll follow you in.
My wife is originally from Porthcawl, growing up in South Africa. It's beautiful in its own right, but at Porthcawl, people are friendly and you feel safe. It's brilliant. I love it here. I wouldn't want to move anywhere else. Maybe a little bit more sunshine, but it's good. I'm not complaining.
Etienne's new hometown has 7 beaches around it, covering over 10 miles of coastline.
Porthcawl is quite popular for dog walkers. I guess the beaches, you know, are attractive. There's walkways. You know, quite fortunate to have that so close to home.
A sweltering morning in July. Temperatures are already in the high 20s. Flat, calm seas also mean ideal conditions for one of the lifeboat crew's favourite leisure pursuits.
The night before, I picked up my new jet ski, so the plan was I'd get up early and set to sea. Minutes before my alarm was due to go off, the pager sounded.
My son Ezra, he came running down the stairs. Papa, there's a shout.
As we were getting changed, the launch authority advised us that it was a dog. I know that if there is a dog in difficulties, very soon after there's likely to be a human in difficulties.
For some people, dogs, I mean, those are their babies. Dogs are their babies.
Roger, Channel 0 standing by.
A Springer Spaniel has swum out to sea at Newton Beach, around 2 miles east along the coast from Porthcawl. Within minutes, the station's D-class is launched.
Everybody on board the lifeboat that day has a dog, so every one of us was able to relate to how the owner would be feeling. But we do have a fair amount of call-outs to dogs, and it doesn't always end well. And it is heartbreaking.
As the crew race across the bay, conditions for the search would seem to be perfect.
The sea state was like a mirror. It was unbelievable. Probably some of the calmest conditions I've ever been in.
I'll reach here on Newton, approximately 1 to 2 minutes of it.
I thought in the back of my mind, as we turned into Newton Point, there would be a dog a few hundred metres out, and we'd go and pick him up and bring him back to shore, and it would be all done and dusted very, very quickly. We did what we call a hasty search, so you saturate the area very, very quickly in the hope that you come across the dog in a timely manner.
But unable to spot the dog in the bay, the crew head towards the beach to gather further information.
All right.
Local dog walker Jane had brought the missing Springer Spaniel and 5 other dogs to the beach a few hours earlier.
All right, what's Ollie was white and...
Yeah, he's white and liver.
White and liver. How big?
He's chunky.
If there was a dog that did extreme sports, it would be Ollie. We had an early start. It was a 4 o'clock wake up. We were going down to the beach, down to Ogmore Bay. We'd get there around about 6 o'clock, stay till around about 8, 9 o'clock, and then go back. That was the plan. Ollie, he loves water. He loves water. As I'm coming down the beach, I noticed that Ollie's going out to sea. And I was calling and calling. He disappeared in the waves. It was after about 30, 40 minutes.
Growing increasingly concerned, Jane called the Coast Guard.
Big orange thing. Lifeboat comes around the corner, and I'm just, thank God. Thank God. They've got to find him. You know, it's an unusual thing to see in the water, a spaniel just swimming around out in the open ocean.
Determined to locate Ollie, the crew continue their search of the bay.
Yeah. For sort of 20, 30 minutes, genuinely believed that, you know, we'd see the dog paddling around and, you know, a favourable outcome. We're just going to follow the tide close to shore and we'll go from there. Yeah.
It just seemed to vanish.
You're trying to maintain a sense of confidence and positivity, but I just think it's natural human instinct after a while, and, you know, experience tells us, well, you know, we've not located this dog now.
The only thing they might have done is if he swum out too far, he's then hit the rip and he's gone that way quickly.
We were really struggling to locate him, and I think that's where, you know, just a little bit of, I'll say, you know, sadness really. You know, have we missed him, lost him? You know, where is he?
So we've been at sea for 45 minutes to an hour. Temperature's 28 degrees. We're all wearing our full personal protective equipment, including thermals. So as the helm, I'm starting to think, how long can we continue before we're putting ourselves at unnecessary risk? with heat exhaustion or heat stroke. I had to make the decision there and then to end the search, which is a really, really difficult decision to make.
Either in your mind you think you've definitely done your best and you've covered the area that you know, look, there's no way you've missed anything, but it's always horrible to give up a search.
When you come back without what you were looking for, and to actually know that, you know, the dog is out there somewhere, yeah, that does, yeah, it just does stay on your mind.
With the search now formally stood down, Jane had no choice but to call Ollie's owner with the bad news.
You just don't want to ever have to make or receive that phone call. It's like your child. It's like your child. I was responsible for the grief and devastation that she was feeling. I'd let her down. She was sobbing. She was absolutely sobbing.
Having failed to find Ollie, the Porthcawl lifeboat crew returned to station.
The vibe from everybody is the same, even the shore crew who haven't necessarily been on the boat. We're all gutted, really.
I returned home, you know, greeted by my dogs walking through the door, had breakfast, planned to do a few things, and I think our pagers went off again.
And I thought, oh, this is going to be one of those days now. So, yeah, so rushed down to the lifeboat station again.
The initial briefing that we were given was that a dog had been spotted under, you know, some cliffs about 3 miles away from our station.
Some kayakers have reported a dog trapped in a small cove beneath Southern Down Cliffs, further southeast of the crew's earlier search at Newton Beach.
Must be a day for dogs today. You know, you sort of think if there's going to be one, if there's going to be two, there's probably going to be a third one later on in the day.
I responded to the pager, but I had a delayed response. By the time I arrived, the lifeboat was just about hitting the water.
So when we've relaunched, we've made our way over to Southern Down Cliffs. As we've started to arrive on scene.
Oh, he's on the rocks.
On the rocks, so Fisherman out, yeah. So just up on the rocks there, I think.
Has the dog fallen or something?
The kayakers have remained with the dog under the cliffs. It appears to be a Springer Spaniel.
I think it was fairly clear. The dog was in good shape, it was well.
Going in and going to try and extract the dog back onto the boat over.
Is that literally, that isn't the dog we're looking for?
That is the dog we're looking for.
That is crazy.
Porthcawl LB, this is not clearing Coast Guard. Roger.
Instantly, the colouring, or I think the description that we'd been given of the dog that we were looking for, liver white, and yeah, I think one of the more peculiar descriptions was actually a little bit portly or overweight.
Okay. I just couldn't believe it. It was complete disbelief.
You know where he's come from? Newton. He went swimming in Newton, 8 o'clock this morning. Hello, Bob. Hi.
The overall distance from the beach where Ollie first, you know, kind of swam from to where we located him was just under 3 miles. I think it's pretty unusual for us. First time I've seen a dog go that distance. But I think Ollie's really pushed the limits here.
Oh, you're a lump. He's absolutely fine at.
Good.
Ready?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
3, 2, 1, go. Yeah. There we go.
All right.
Get him down.
Ollie.
There we go.
Ollie is here.
Ollie.
Hello, Ollie. Hi, Ollie.
I think, yeah, my excitement was quite evident. I think the crew in general. Really pleased, he's safe and well.
Milford, Porthcawl ILB, that's Ollie, safely recovered from the base of the cliffs. Seems to be in pretty good condition, very thirsty, giving him a drink now. We're heading back to Porthcawl Lifeboat Station, ETA 10 minutes.
Let's not go back in the sea. Chasing seagulls.
Liver Spring Spaniel.
Yeah. I think it became quite apparent that Ollie seemed to have a liking for seagulls.
You'd think he'd had enough of that, wouldn't you? There we are.
As we were driving back, there were a flock of seagulls just sort of sitting in the water. Ollie seen them and actually tried to dive out the boat.
Supposed to chase seagulls. It's all to do is chase seagulls.
I think this is what happens.
With Ollie held firmly in place on board, the crew head back to the station once again.
The lad on the phone, he said, yeah, we've got some news about Ollie. They found him, they've got him out of the water, and he's on a boat. I was sobbing. It turns out that Ollie was all right. Ollie was absolutely fine. Ollie didn't know that anything had really gone wrong that day. So they'd got him, and that was quite possibly the best phone call I'd had in a long time. In a long, long time.
Nearly 4 hours after he entered the sea, a tired but seemingly oblivious Ollie was reunited with Jane.
We ran into the lifeboat house and he was just in the window having a great time. He was, you know, oh look, it's you. Fancy seeing you here. It's great, isn't it?
Yeah. I think the best outcome of this is, you know, Ollie went home to his family. I think that's, you know, that's a nice thing.
Yeah, Milford are on to it. She was the RP from this morning.
We had a thank you from Ollie's owners, and yeah, I'm sure we'll see him again. Hopefully not on the lifeboat the next time.
Over 430 miles away, on the far northeast coast of Scotland, lies the fishing port of Fraserburgh.
Fraserburgh, it's a nice little town. It's a close-knit community.
A lot of people know each other.
The sea's a massive importance to the community, whether you do it as a hobby or you're by the sea as a job. Yeah, it's a massive part of the community.
With over 35,000 tonnes of catch landed here every year, the town's harbour is one of the busiest in the region.
Over the years, everyone in Fraserburgh was tied to the fishing somehow, or some connection through a family member. It was definitely through fishing in the sea.
Nearly half of the volunteers on the Fraserburgh lifeboat are fishermen, used to heading out to sea in all sorts of weather. The station currently has a Trent class with a range of 250 nautical miles.
Compared to other stations, we have got a big area coastline to cover.
The North Sea can be a lovely place at times when the sun's out, but a poor day, the North Sea can blow. It's not really a place you want to be stuck out in.
The nature of the sea, one minute it can be nice, the next minute it can be treacherous.
A cold October evening, the Fraserburgh crew are paged.
The night you paged jumped off, I was just sitting at home, sitting chilling out with the kids watching TV.
Let's get the shoes on, let's get straight down to the station as quick as I could.
A small creel boat has failed to return to port after nearly 12 hours at sea.
Initial information from the Coast Guard was 1 man on board, 7-metre boats, blue colour. They gave us the fishing number.
I read it and I knew exactly who it was that was looking for. There's a man called Joe. I've known him for a lot of years. He stays in the same street as me as well.
The missing fisherman is 73-year-old Joe Massen, a well-known figure in the town and at the station.
Yeah, it changes things, I suppose, a wee bit more, so it makes it a bit more personal.
Fraserburgh's Trent class is launched within 10 minutes.
We was told to make for the south side of the beacon at Cairnbulg.
The 32-foot-high Cairnbulg beacon marks an outcrop of rocks off the far side of Fraserburgh Bay, 2.5 miles southeast of the lifeboat station.
This is a
happening, Coast Guard, Fraserburgh CRT, you should be able to be very shortly.
The care in Bulgaria is quite a rocky area. It's quite a dangerous place to pass.
Although the sea conditions are good, there's thick cloud cover and very little artificial light in this part of Fraserburgh Bay.
Initially, I'm thinking possibly it's suffered mechanical failure. Hopefully it's a case we just go out, we find the boat and take the boat and the person back to shore.
The crew make it across the bay in just 5 minutes. They immediately start scouring the seas around Cairnbulg Beacon for any sign of the fishing vessel and its skipper, Joe.
So searching at night's never good. Poor visibility, not know what's in the water.
You're looking for a light or anything reflective or something luminous, anything that would kind of pop out.
From the beacon, shoreline search south along the coast. We're just scanning the area as best we can, hoping that we're gonna find the boat. That type of search, it can look like the proverbial needle in a haystack.
Fraserburgh are joined by one of their flank stations, Peterhead, and the search soon becomes a multi-agency operation.
You'd also amass a amount of Coast Guard operatives on the shoreline, searching the shoreline.
The rescue chopper came down from Inverness, so you've obviously got the eyes in the sky, as it were, with the searchlights. They've got thermal imaging cameras, so they're a big help for us. They went to a spot just beside the sort of Cairnbulg, the beacon, hovering above a wreck that's there already.
If you could proceed back up to Fraserburgh Bay, I think the information we're getting now is that Creoles were potentially in Fraserburgh Bay.
They reported that they sighted some wreckage. And looking at where he was, me and a couple of the crew sort of said to each other, well, he's hovering above the wreck of the Sovereign. And the pilot said, no, this is different. This is something different we've got.
The Sovereign was a large fishing boat which ran aground on the rocks off Cairnbulg in 2005. But if Joe's creel boat is there, these waters are too shallow and too rocky for Fraserburgh's 46-foot, 28-ton Trent class.
So the decision was made that myself and Stuart was going to be on the XP boat.
The XP is a small two-man inflatable stowed aboard the Trent.
Where's the torches? Handheld torches.
Handheld torches, look.
All the crew came together, got the XP boat inflated as quickly as we can, and we launched it straight into the water.
Within minutes, Grant and Stewart are on scene.
Watch your ropes, there's ropes in the water. Let's get us ropeys. Let's get us ropeys.
Arriving at the vessel, there was quite a lot of wreckage. There was quite a lot of ropes, debris in the water. It's quite a big danger to us. It was beneficial having the helicopter above us, lighting up the whole area so we could see exactly what was in the water. But was trying to clear a path safely, involved cutting ropes to get in to assess it further.
The creel boat has capsized and is now almost completely submerged underwater.
No sign of casualty. There was a lifeboat on scene, but there was a few ropes in water.
Knowing that you'd found the vessel, you're actually touching the vessel, but still no sign of the casualty. It's massively frustrating. You're not really interested in finding the boat, you're interested in finding the casualty.
Reverse up, Stuart, reverse up.
So now it's changed from searching for a vessel with a person on board to now searching for a person in the water. The water temperature on the North Sea round our patch, you're probably looking about 6-7 degrees temperature-wise. You're only speaking a few minutes before hypothermia would set in.
Just let's find a guy, yeah?
Determined to bring a member of their community home safely, the Fraserburgh lifeboat crew systematically scanned the seas around the bay.
We carried on searching till around about 3 o'clock in the morning. We were requested by Aberdeen Coast Guard to return to station to give the crew a rest.
After searching for nearly 7 hours, the Fraserburgh crew head back into harbour.
Getting sent back, it was really frustrating, but you're not really an asset to the search party if your crew's all tired. Everybody was really quite quiet, the atmosphere wasn't good.
Back into the station, had like a 30-minute sleep. Go back up again, back down to the boat, fired it up. It was back out for 6 a.m.
At daybreak, Fraserburgh renew their search and are later joined by the lifeboat from neighbouring station Macduff.
Given the time scale, finding this person and finding them alive, the chances are now becoming very, very slim. But hopefully we could find somebody.
In the back of your head, hope is kind of run out, but it isn't at the same time. It's like, it's been a long time since someone last seen Joe. It was almost like 24 hours coming up to now. And then you still wonder if Joe's sitting somewhere, or again, you could be still sitting on rocks somewhere that we've missed or something. You think, have we done this right, have we done that right, or... But, I mean, you can just do the best of your abilities.
With the sea conditions now becoming increasingly difficult, the Macduff crew aren't able to tow Joe's creel boat back in. All they can retrieve is some wreckage.
There's always that thing that even if you can't find them alive, at least if you've got the body to take home. That would have been the best outcome for us, I think. It's important, it gives the family closure.
At 4 p.m, nearly 20 hours after their initial launch, the search for Joe is called off, and the Fraserburgh crew are stood down.
Thank you very much for your efforts today. Roger out.
Yeah, it's an awful feeling returning home without Joe. So.
Knowing Joe as well, it's like as though you've lost a friend, and but you feel like as though you never did enough.
There's always that thought going through, could you have done this better? Could you have got there to this area quicker? Or could this have happened? Or there's 101 things go through your head.
Coast Guards will make no further sea searches for a fisherman reported missing near Fraserburgh. 73-year-old Joe Massen was last seen on his creel boat near Cairnbulk Harbour.
When I drive up the street in my car, you see Joe's house, you see his old van sitting at the door. A shout like that'll never leave, especially if it's someone you knew. It's always in the back of my head regardless, no matter what.
A month after he disappeared at sea, Joe Massen's family held a memorial service for him in Fraserburgh. His body has not yet been found.
Knowing that Joe had never been found as of yet, it's absolutely brutal for a family. At the end of the day, everybody's got a family. And yeah, given the dignity and respect that man deserved.
Just 4 weeks after he fell over 30 feet down the cliffs near Portishead, Graham is making steady progress.
Post the accident, every day I wake up in the morning and I think, here I am, next to my beautiful wife. So, yeah, we're very, very lucky people.
This shout also had a profound effect on Matt, the bystander who came to Graham's aid that day.
I've come down to the station to see if I could become a member of the Portishead lifeboat crew. Hopefully, I can actually be part of a team that could go out and help others.
And back in Ireland, Rebecca and her dad, Jonathan, have come to meet Peter, the man who saved her life in the rip current.
Hi, Peter, how are you? Good. Do you mind if we get a hug?
Yeah, no,
Everybody
together. Hi. I feel as though a little overdone, though, because, I mean, I just did what they couldn't do.
Yeah, I have no words at all. How thankful I am.
You've made a family complete. You've kept the family together, and you'll never be forgotten for what you've done for us that day. You've given us time, which is probably a best way of describing it. You've actually given us more time as a family, given me more time with this wee beaut.
Rebecca and Jonathan have brought a gift to thank Peter for his part in the rescue.
It's a clock, and it's just a very simple message.
Oh, God.
You saved my life.
Oh.
From Rebecca. Thank you so much.
I start crying in a minute.
Oh, don't start crying, don't start crying, mate.
How many people are with you? We needed as many eyes looking for that person as we could.
What's that? There.
We train for it, but when it's for real,
I thought I was gonna die.
it definitely changes.
Oh, good get off. There we go.